It's so, kind of like, look, I left the tag hanging. Like, this is, I'm so professional. All right, well, welcome back to In the Car With, presented by Everett Chevrolet. Today, we are in the car with Douglas Locascio. Did I say that right?
Locascio.
Locascio, okay, I was talking about that.
Casio stereo system and just put "la" before it. Locascio. That's the easiest way I found to explain to people.
Okay, because we were in the office and I realized that I typed up all these show notes and I missed the C.
Yeah.
The second C after the S, and I was like, oh, I spelled this guy's name completely wrong. So Douglas, if you didn't know, he is the GM of the Hickory Crawdads, which is our local minor league baseball team. He joined the Crawdads in 2010 as an interim ticket manager and has worked his way through the organization. And along with being a GM of the Crawdads, you're heavily involved with the Catawba County Chamber of Commerce, serve on the Hickory Metro Sports Commission, the Catawba County Partnership for Children, and Hickory Young Professionals. That is a mouthful.
It is, yeah, and also Women's Resource Center.
Yep.
I'm on their board, executive board, and the Lake Hickory Rotary Club.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to get to your involvement in the community later, but Douglas, welcome to the car.
Absolutely.
We're glad to have you in. Today we're in a GMC Sierra Elevation Series, Sierra 1500, so a great truck. But we're going to talk about that in a minute, but what inspired you to pursue a career in baseball?
You know, obviously grew up around sports. Grew up down in Florida, born and raised Tampa, Florida. Just had a strong passion for sports. Was an athlete growing up. North Carolina, I was a collegiate wrestler. Went to school at Campbell University, and had, from a very young age, had an envisionment to be a sports agent, and wanted to be an agent for professional athletes. And got to college, heard that law school was needed and all that, and that definitely wasn't for me. So I quickly realized, hey, okay, but always have been told, if you enjoy what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah. So when thinking of a career path and things like that, I was like, sports is where I want to be, but I also love numbers. I love the business sense. And so a lot of it was found out in internships, honestly. And so just going through the path of different internships, interned with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that was really cool, real enjoyable. Got to experience a Super Bowl that we hosted in Tampa as part of that.
I don't want to date you, but were you there?
I was there when we hosted the Super Bowl. So it was the 2008 season. So the 2000. I can't remember how NFL technically calls it. So technically January or February of 2009. So that Super Bowl, then went back. And because of my internship, I actually graduated a half semester late. So I had to being in North Carolina, I was like, all right, well, let me do another internship. And so I did one with a wood and bat league team in Wilmington, North Carolina, the Wilmington Sharks. And that's where I fell in love with, they're not minor league, but the minor league baseball concept. And the aspect of, yes, we're baseball, but we are the front office. We are sheer entertainment, and we are what goes on, everything besides the field. And it was an amazing experience. There's only 2 full-time employees. There was 5 of us interns. We hosted the Wood and Bat League All-Star Game, the Coast Plain League All-Star Game that year. We're voted Organization of the Year. And I just became in love with the concept of minor league baseball. Fast forward and graduated in December looking for a job, and actually my boss in Wilmington and my former boss here in Hickory, they were at a conference together and just talking about different opportunities, because it's like, all right, you're graduating in December, what's next? And there's not a ton, and so you take that leap of faith, and I did an internship, and that's kind of how that connection started.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so internships are important for students out there that might be paying attention to this podcast,
100%, 150%, whatever you want to give a number to, absolutely. Because you think you know what's involved, but until you're actually there and doing the day-to-day, you really don't know. Like, I could have still went the path of sports agency, but if I would have never, if that was the path I took and didn't do an internship, I wouldn't know until you get into it. So then you start it, and then it's like, oh wow, it's not. We've had interns here with us before in Hickory that have quit, or we've parted ways is the better way to do it, not necessarily quit, a week in because they did not realize the grind that went into minor league sports and the demand. And so you don't know, and so you get firsthand knowledge. And so especially minor league, because you see every department. Like, there's not a single hat that someone in our office does not wear. You see the promotions, you see the sales, you see the marketing. You're a part of it all, and it just gives you that experience.
Yeah. So what kind of internships? I mean, I know the conversation wasn't necessarily going so, but now you brought it up, and we're talking about what, like, if a student out there is watching this, what kind of internships do y'all at the Crawdads offer?
So at the Crawdads, we have 2 levels of internships. One is our assistant program. We hire a full season. Basically, they start typically February, March, and go throughout the season with us, and that's in our marketing and promotions department. So that's a full-time intern, we call it. The other is our summer internship. And so what our summer internship is, that's kind of that multi-tool faceted, where it's kids that are still in college. You don't have to get college credit. You can just, they're paid internships. Obviously, you're not making a ton. You're making minimum wage most of the time, but you're getting that hands-on experience. You're seeing all the different departments. So we bring in typically 4 of those summer interns that let them see kind of what the organization's like and to get that hands-on experience.
Awesome. And so you started as one of those interns.
So back when I started, I feel old by saying it that way, but back when I started in 2010, our organization was set up completely different. There was only 5 full-time staff members, and then each department had its own intern. And so there was a ticket intern, a marketing intern, a promotions intern, a group sales intern, and every department had their own intern. So I started as the ticket operations intern. There was supposed to be a box office manager, and I was fortunate enough, or however you want to look at it, my first day was March 1st, 2010. I walked into my Mark Seaman, he's with the Hickory Parks and Rec department. He'd be another great one for this kind of segment that you're doing. But walked into his office day one, first time ever meeting him in person, and he says, "Hey Douglas, nice to meet you. Got good news or bad news, however you want to take it. The person that was supposed to be over you resigned over the weekend, so the job's yours to lose. Good luck." And talk about deer in a headlight look, and then you're like, what? Like, here I am expecting to learn, and there's no better time to learn than that. I mean, and so then they take me down to the ticket office, and they're like, here you go. This is March 1st. We're opening first week of April, and don't know this ticket system, never been the head person. I'm just like, how the heck am I going to figure this out? But I was like, my older brother told it to me best. He's like, hey, there's no better opportunity than now. You prove your worth, you guarantee yourself a job. Yeah. And so I kind of took it head on and was like, okay, I'm going to learn everything I can. I'm going to ask questions, because that's the biggest thing some people in that situation do. They don't ask the question. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't afraid where I wasn't going to know the answer, and that was okay. So I would ask the questions. I'd rely on it, but I'd try things. I got things. Opening day was a Friday, and I'll never forget it. Opening day that year, and there was roughly about a 500 person pre-sale. We finished with a 3,500 person crowd. Oh, and wow. So do the math, 3,000 person walk up on my first night ever running a ticket office by myself. And there was a line from ticket office up until the upper grass lot. And I'm like, Mark kept coming in and saying, do you need anything? And I didn't know what to say because I'm running a window. And also, I'm like, no, I got this.
You're like, I just need more hands.
I didn't even want to say that because I didn't want to be like, oh, I can't handle this. So it was like, oh, I got to show you I can handle this. And so it was simply like, oh, no, we got it. And we survived. We got through it, and after just learned. And I tell you, that was one of the best things about that whole season. It was ultimately trying different things and just learning from mistakes. And that's something I tell my staff currently, and it's just simply like, listen, we're gonna make mistakes. It's not gonna be perfect night in and night out. Well, when my frustration is gonna come and my upsetness is gonna come is when we make repetitive mistakes. Let's learn from those mistakes. Let's take challenges, let's take risk, but let's learn from the mistakes.
And so you kind of worked your way up through the organization. Would you mind kind of just sharing a little bit of that story, kind of how that happened, so to say? Yeah,
so, obviously got through that season, finished up the season, was offered a full-time job. So became, the interim title kind of got dropped, became director of ticket operations. And then Was in that role until 2024, 2014. And so from then transitioned to we were hosting the All-Star game. We were doing facility renovations. That was our first major facility renovations since the stadium was built. So was doing those. So we actually had our front office moved 4 different times within 1 year. Like we went from our existing office down to the clubhouse, down to a trailer, down to 3 satellite offices, and then back to our permanent office. So it was pretty crazy of a year. Obviously being a small staff, corporate sales is a pretty big emphasis. And so we all do corporate sales. So picked up corporate sales over that course of the time. One of our director of radio broadcasting and media relations, he left that off season in February or March. And so it was kind of like, hey, you can take on some more corporate sales and let's hire someone to run the box office. You be over them. So it gave kind of more responsibilities and opportunities. Was in that role and just gradually added more, and then was over just corporate. So director of corporate sales. And then transitioned to 2019 in January. I was promoted to assistant GM. And then fast forward to May of 2019, Mark got an opportunity with the city of Hickory and kind of transitioned to that. And so the Rangers trusted me with the opportunity and just transitioned to the GM. So I've been GM since June 1st of 2019.
So for non-baseball fans who might be paying attention, the Rangers, they are a Major League Baseball team, right? So they play in Texas.
They do.
We are here in Hickory.
Correct.
So how does that work? Like, kind of give us a little mini overview and window into what the minor league system is.
Sure. So it's called a farm system. A typical farm system, you got your major league team, and then they've got a feeder system. So there's low A, high A, double A, and triple A. And so there's 4 levels below the major league team. Where our unique situation, our major league team actually owns us. They own and operate us. They own and operate us, and then our sister team, which is the low A affiliate of the Rangers in Kinston, North Carolina, the Down East Wood Ducks. So if you're a player, a lot of time, now there's other levels below it. There's it's called Dominican League and Arizona League, and so those are kind of, if you get drafted, you go to those right away. But then your first full season of baseball is typically in Kinston. So then you go from Kinston to here to Hickory. From Hickory, you get promoted to Double A, which is Frisco, the Rough Riders in Frisco, Texas. And then Triple A is Round Rock Express in Round Rock, Texas. And then eventually you make it to the bigs. We've had 212 players that have played in Hickory in the 30 years. So this will be our 31st year of baseball in Hickory. And so of the 30 years, we've had 212 players make it to the big leagues.
Wow.
At one point or another.
That's awesome. That's impressive. And what's so cool about I think baseball, Major League Baseball doing that is it's not like pro football, where pro football there's just one team in a city. And even to an extent NBA, I know they have the G League and the Development League and stuff like that. But it's kind of like, okay, the Charlotte Hornets, that's all there is. The Carolina Panthers, that's all there is. Whereas baseball almost becomes this, national sport in the sense of, you can cheer for the big cities, but there's all these small towns, so to say. Not that Hickory's like a small town, but there's these small town teams that you can go and see them play on a Thursday night or Friday night, and it's a great experience. And as you said, some of these guys, they're gonna make it to the big leagues.
Yep. Oh yeah. And it's neat because it's very community focused, and a lot of these kids, and you asked earlier what drew me to baseball or minor league baseball, and it's the community focus, because a lot of these kids, I could bring our starting center fielder and Conrad to an appearance. And these kids, even if that center fielder was a top 5 prospect of the Rangers, the kids are going to go to Conrad over the player because Conrad is that symbol and stuff like that. But in the same sense, they're going to enjoy meeting that player. How many of these kids have future aspirations that they want to be a big league player when they grow up? And it's just cool because they can say, hey, I knew them when. And that guy speaking, and that's what I tell our players when they come every year, being like, you don't realize just how much of an impact you have on our youth and how much that you can make or break it. If you don't stop and sign that autograph, I understand you might have just struck out, but to the kid, they have no idea. But they're watching. My son, he's 10 years old. My son had modeled a catcher on our team from last year. He would watch every single at bat. He mimicked his batting stance. So he took his batting stance and turned it into that player's batting stance and just learned and watched everything that player did. So that the players sometimes don't realize just what a role model they are. To say I knew them when. And that's what's cool, to talk about the 212 or whatever that number is continuing to grow to, it's cool to say, hey, I was a part of their life when. Because a lot of their times, this is their first time being on their own. Some of these guys have never opened a bank account. They've never had to live in an apartment. So a lot of these things are first for them as well. And so that's what's cool. Not only are they developing on the field, but they're developing as people. And we get to be kind of an outlet and a source for that development. And it's a pretty cool experience.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I kind of have a story about that. So I'm recently new to Hickory. And so I met my wife in Birmingham. And at that time, playing with the Birmingham Barons was Marcus Simeon and Trace Thompson. Who Marcus Simeon, is he third baseman, second baseman for the Rangers
Marcus
now?
Simeon's the second baseman for the Rangers, exactly.
Yeah, and so it's really cool to be like, man, I mean, he had an all-star year a couple years ago. I think he was in MVP ballot. It was really cool to say. I remember watching him play in Birmingham. So you talk about those successful players. How do you feel like their success reflect on the Hickory Crawdads as an organization?
I mean, where I take pride, honestly, is their community involvement. Their on the field success is one thing. Like, you've got guys some that doesn't even pitchers. A lot of times, people are like, well, why can't they strike that guy out? Why would you throw a changeup there? Well, they might be throwing a changeup there because that's the exact pitch that they're working on. And the pitching coach said, listen, you're going to throw 20 of the wins and losses doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they want to win. The Rangers have a firm belief of if they win at this level, then when they make it to the bigs, they're going to expect to win there. And we want championship caliber players. Yeah. But in the same sense, it's about development. Right. And so, where I take pride in a lot of times is just seeing those players and the way they interact with families, the way they interact with kids, and realize, especially after a tough loss or something like that, or a tough game, where it's like some guys would just brush off signing that autograph, but then they're like, no, you know what, I'm still gonna. We have a saying around the office, Lou Gehrig said it, it's someone's first game or someone's last game. I want to make it the most memorable game possible. Mm-hmm. And so from a fan standpoint, they want to make that game most memorable possible. And so as much as fans get upset, ultimately they blame us as a front office for that player not signing the autograph. But that's going to the things that people aren't going to remember is the win-loss. I could ask probably 100 fans that came last year to a certain game and give them a specific date and say, what was the score? Did we win or lose? Right. I'd say probably 5 to 10% would actually know. The other 95 to 90%, they're not going to remember that. What they're going to remember is the memories. They're going to remember their son or daughter running the field after the game, chasing Conrad, catching that foul ball, players signing an autograph, things of that nature. They're going to remember the fireworks show, stuff of that nature, the ways that we can last and make lasting impressions and be an outlet. We can be a 9-inning vacation to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's such a great outlook on the game of baseball in general, and how it's such a family game. It's such an interactive game. It's a game where you can kind of have a conversation during the middle of it, with what's going on in your life and how things are going, or dad's talking to their kids or mom's talking to their kids, because there is, that time, but you're still there enjoying it. I mean, it's a great experience in a game. So this is In the Car With, so let's talk a little bit about this vehicle.
Yeah.
This is a GMC Sierra 1500 Elevation Series. What do you think about it? You kind of just jumped in it. You said you're a truck guy. You like trucks.
I do. I mean, it's smooth driving. Honestly, For me, I wish it had some running boards. That's my only complaint. Like,
Okay.
you know, from that standpoint, it's that big step up. So, you know, if my wife was joining me in the car, she'd be a little upset because she couldn't quite just get in. But, you know, it's real comfortable, real roomy. You know, it's a 4-door, this one, and the back seat is super spacious. Like, honestly, like, just looking at it back there, but even in the tailgate, like, you don't feel like it's this massive vehicle, but there's plenty of spacious room, so it's super comfortable.
Yeah. So I actually noticed the back seat as well when I was getting some stuff out of there earlier. This is actually, so I didn't know if you know this, but GM has a 2.7 liter high output turbo engine. It's 4 cylinders, and I know for most truck people you say 4 cylinders, like,
Yep.
like I don't want to drive you know, like a little go-kart.
Exactly.
Like, I want to drive a truck. Like, give me 8 cylinders. It has, I think it's the same amount of torque or a little bit more torque than the 5.3. So you can look it up online if you're interested in it. This is the GMC Sierra 1500 Elevation Series at everettchevy.com. Call us. Our sales folks would love to talk to you about it. But yeah, this is a great truck.
Absolutely.
All right. So with everyone, we play a little bit of trivia.
Okay.
So today, you're the manager of the Hickory Crawdads, general
Right.
manager of the Hickory Crawdads. I wanted to ask you about, which is located in North Carolina, obviously.
Yep.
I wanted to ask you about another thing that was located in North Carolina that has to deal with crawdads.
Okay.
And it's a movie that came out called Where the Crawdads Sing.
Based on a book, I believe, if my research was correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, based on a book. All right, so the first question, did you see the movie, first of all?
I have not seen the movie.
Do you have any daughters that...
I've got a 6-year-old daughter.
Okay, so she probably wouldn't be.
Yeah,
I think
not
this
quite old
was
enough.
much more like teenagers.
Yep.
Okay, so your wife didn't make you go see it?
No, she
Anything like
did
that?
not. No,
Okay, all right,
I
all
did not go with her.
Okay, so the first question I had was, who wrote and performed the original song Carolina for the movie? Was it A, Taylor Swift, B, James Taylor, or C, Eric Church? Local guy as well.
Yeah, you know, right up the road, and I want to. I feel like I should go Eric Church because he's become, even though he went to App, he has become a huge Carolina fan. So I feel like it would go hand in hand, but because kind of the girl I'm going to go A, Taylor Swift.
A, Taylor Swift. That is correct.
Woo-hoo.
That is correct.
That was a
There you
tricky
go.
one.
Well, you know, they're all James Taylor, you know,
Yeah.
Carolina. So,
Yep.
all right, number 2, true or false? Where the Crawdads Sing is a story set in North Carolina.
I'm going true because of your intro.
I did. I kind of gave you the
You
answer.
gave me a little hint on it, you know?
Okay.
So you've seen if I was paying attention.
Exactly. That's what I was
I
doing.
passed, so.
All right. So number 3, the movie was produced by A, Drew Barrymore, B, Reese Witherspoon, or C, Taylor Swift.
I'm going B, Reese Witherspoon.
Reese Witherspoon. That is correct. That is correct. All right. And the last one, number 4, do crawdads actually sing?
No.
No, they do not.
I'm going no.
No, that is true.
They chirp, you know, or it's
I don't
a
know if
fish,
they even
you know?
chirp. Yeah,
I don't
it's
even
a
think they
fish.
chirp.
I don't think-
Exactly, it's a crustacean.
Do you have any players on your team that sing? Like, are there secret talents?
I'm sure, yeah, you know, I'm excited. You know, players get in usually, so we start April 6th, home opener at LP France. A lot of the guys get in on that Monday, so it's always interesting. And that's what's neat also, is seeing that development. The shy people that come in day 1 to where they finish on day 2 and just or day 155 that they're actually in Hickory, and just how much they develop their personal skills and how much they start talking and opening up. So there's always some that do. You know, we had some that did, and they were always like, hey, if you're in a bind, and you always think they're joking, but then they actually start singing and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, if we're ever in a bind, you are singing the national anthem. And it's pretty cool to see.
Have you ever had a player sing the national anthem?
Not that I can remember. A lot of times I'm in either the parking lot, to be honest, I'm either in the parking lot or the ticket office, somewhere at that time, and so I haven't, that's something I need to do a better job, paying more attention, you know, relying on our staff for that stuff, but I don't believe so. Obviously, our official score is our go-to backup if someone bails on us or late. Then he sings it. Mark Parker, he's a phenomenal. He does music for a bunch of local churches and stuff like that.
Okay.
So he's our go-to. Last year, our on-field, Emily Mitchell, she was our backup also because she was like Broadway and different things and did a phenomenal job for us. So we had a couple, but I don't think I've ever seen a player actually do it.
Okay, all right. Well, you talked earlier about being how you like the Crawdads and the players being heavily involved in the community. You yourself are heavily involved in the community. I mean, we had a laundry list of things that we listed at the top of the intro. And in 2016, correct, you were named to the top 40 under 40 in Hickory. What do you love about this town?
Yeah, it's become a home, so you come out of college, you're like, oh yeah, this is just gonna be a stepping stone for us. But you come here and you just become engulfed, you become part of the family. So I think a lot of it was looking at the future of what, at the time it was, hey, as I'm starting to settle down, I met my wife here, we had our kids here, but as we're starting to settle down, it's like, hey, is this an area that we could see ourselves growing our family? Is this an area where we wanna be a part of? And to be able to put our stamp on the community and to be a part of it, I view it as the community's done so much for the organization, and not even the organization, but me personally. A lot of the networking and relationships I've built has come from the chamber, various areas, and just been able to grow as an individual, as well as the organization. So let's give back. And so if you're gonna be a part of something, you got to put your money where your mouth is the way I say it, and so we have a strong emphasis as our staff about being involved in community boards, taking part in different various activities. And so to give back to a community that's given us so much, it's the least that we can do. And that's why in the off season, in season, it's obviously a little tougher because of the strenuous schedule and things of that nature. But especially in the off season, it's a high priority. It's year-round high priority of saying, hey, what can we do to be a part of and do as much as we can for everyone?
Yeah, and I would say, for someone that's new to the area, great job. My wife and I, we really like it here. We walk around downtown. We went downtown a couple weekends ago when it was beautiful outside, and that park was slammed.
It is, and that's what's gonna be cool.
And it's man, this is just a really cool. It seems like there's a lot of young families that are here. You're, how people say you're an hour away from everything or whatever, but it's a really just great town to be in. Great restaurants, good places to go, just hang out.
There's so much, and I think a lot of that started, and I think that was that big emphasis when the bond referendum passed. And so really kind of when we were starting and getting serious, me personally, of saying, hey, Hickory's where I want to be, as I continue to evolve in my career and stuff like that, it was simply looking at that bond referendum and saying, hey, look what the future's bringing. We don't know, and it's taken years to put it together, but it's finally coming there. And now you can see the stuff almost finished up. Our side of town is I tell you, in 5 years, you're not gonna recognize Clement Boulevard to what it is. It's just gonna be booming from different stuff. And it's just cool to be a part of that and to be a foundation of it. Aviation Walk is literally gonna walk right in front of the ballpark. So we're going to be a strict part of Aviation Walk. And that was a principle of the cities and a mission of the cities to say, hey, how do we connect the Crawdads to downtown, to LR, to these various areas, and bring everything together? So can't wait to be a part and be a final foundation of that.
Yeah, I'm cool I'm excited to see what that's going to end up looking like. So let's talk about songs. So you can't get in the car. Every road trip, you got to have a good playlist, right? What is one of your favorite songs, maybe either to listen to in a car or just to listen to? We call this segment Auto Tune.
Auto Tune. So obviously, athlete growing up, wrestler, pump up song was Eye of the Tiger, growing up and stuff of that nature. And so now it's fun, as you say, auto tunes, you hook your phone up and you can play anything. So a lot of times it's kids' choice, and we rotate. My son, Grayson, my son, pick. Then Sophia, my daughter, picks. then Lydia, my wife, picks, and then I pick, and so we kind of go, and we all have our own different music taste, and it's pretty unique. Mike's pretty country, and it drives my wife crazy because she really can't stand country, but I'm pretty big, a huge Luke Combs fan, and so almost anything by Luke Combs, a lot of times I just put on Luke Combs mix and just play that the entire time.
All right, so did you pick out a song for us today?
I didn't pick out a specific one. I could have Luke Combs, but from that I'm trying to think if anything specific with him. I just say Luke Combs, honestly. You want me to play one?
Play one, yeah.
All right.
Play it on.
Play Luke Combs.
Oh, he's using Siri. Are you a Siri texter?
I am.
Okay, here's Luke Combs on Apple Music.
I mean, if you got her, why not use her? This is truck listening.
It is, absolutely. And Luke Combs obviously went App State right up the road and stuff like that. App State's coming here to Hickory, North Carolina. Going to be a huge foundation right up the road for us. Yeah. We actually are doing 2 App State nights out at the ballpark. Our first one in April, we're giving away a Yosef, better get that correct, Yosef bobblehead to the first 1,000 fans. And then later on in the season, we're giving away a co-branded App State Hickory Crawdads hat to the first 1,000 fans. Oh. So just really building on that partnership as App State brings that Hickory campus. I mean, we're so unique here between App State, Lenore-Rhine, CVCC, CCC, and TI. We're a huge hub for this, education system, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. So be on the lookout for those dates if you're an App State fan. So looking forward, kind of what are your goals, aspirations for the Crawdads? What are you looking forward to this year?
Obviously just looking forward to welcoming all of our fans back and having a great time. Just enhancement. This year, we've heard for the longest time that people want to see more and more giveaways, more and more bobbleheads. So we brought that this year. And so that's the biggest thing. Like when I took over, was asked by Hickory Daily Record, what was going to be the biggest change, that I could take from previous. And not saying we didn't before, but the biggest thing was, hey, we're going to take risks. We're going to try different things. Some of them are going to work, some are not, but we're going to learn from it. Yeah. We're doing a Star Wars night on May the 4th. We're doing specialty Star Wars jerseys. And so we're going to auction them off after the game, and we'll go to a local charity. Awesome. So special Star Wars jersey. So we've really upped that game. Hickory Dickory Docks is another one, and so that's an alternate identity.
Okay.
Previously, we've been the Hickory Couch Potatoes, so it's just a spin-off on this area, and everyone knows the nursery rhyme, Hickory Dickory Dock, the mouse ran up the clock. So we came up with our art designer and came up with a custom design logo, and so we'll be the Hickory Dickory Docks for 3 games in August. We're giving away a toothbrush holder on one of those. So just little things like that. I'd say the biggest thing and goal for our staff is to come up with as close to 66 perfect nights as we can and just make every night a memory for a fan. Whatever it is that we do, whether it be if a kid didn't get a foul ball, you find a baseball and give it to them. Let's make a memory for 66 nights all season long, and just be a part of the community and give back and do whatever we can. And the rest kind of makes itself. Like, if you do those little things, you're going to get return customers. It's like you guys. If you guys take care of someone who needs a new car or a used car, then the next time that they need that car, they're going to come back because they're like, hey, it was that customer service experience. We're never going to lead our league in attendance. Our ballpark can only sit so many people when some of these other high A ballparks sit 6,000 to 8,000 fans. Ours can only do 4,000 fans. So we're never going to lead our league in attendance, but the one thing I try and take great pride in, and our goal and emphasis every year, how can we give exceptional customer service? Let's lead the league in customer service and give people that memory and makes them want to come back, want to be a baseball fan, or just fall in love with the game all over again.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Douglas, thank you for being on the podcast. Anything else you'd like to say or talk about?
No, we just look forward to seeing you. 1 game, 5 games, 66 games, whatever it is this year. Come on out. While you're out at the ballpark, before you come in, check out all your Everett Chevrolet cars. They'll be out in the parking lot every night, and it'll be rotating throughout the season. So check out the Everett Chevy cars. Buy yourself an Everett. Enjoy it. But thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for having us. All right, we'll see you next time.
.com.